It's time for some science fun. I'm here with Eddie Whistler from the Museum of Science and History, Jacksonville, and we're gonna go through and just learn about some chemical reactions and, just STEM fun, right there, Eddie?
Absolutely. So, especially focusing on something called a catalyst, I guess, with this experiment. You could go a bunch of different ways, but we have a catalyst involved, and so, you have experiments that have reactions that can drone on and happen slowly, but a catalyst is something that just speeds up the reaction. And I think we're going to be able to have a pretty good sense of speed here soon.
All right, so what I'm doing right now, though, this is hydrogen peroxide, H2O2.
Yep.
And the catalyst is going to be potassium iodide. Now, we're not adding some soap that is going to kind of add a little more spark to it. Eddie's going to talk about that in a minute.
They'll see.
All right, and that's going to be in just a moment. But first, let's just show a little bit of science. So what's going to be going on here with H2O2?
You mean after safety?
After safety. Safety first, goggles on.
So we're going to add, hydrogen peroxide is breaking down into water and oxygen, but when we add this catalyst, we speed up that reaction, and we're capable of seeing the oxygen being produced. All the bubbling that you see is oxygen being produced, and of course that reaction is being sped up by the catalyst. There's a few different ones that you can use, but we selected potassium iodide, and so that's what we saw.
All right, so let's move on, because let's get to the fun stuff here. We showed them our catalyst here, the peroxide, the potassium iodide.
The oxygen is like a genie, right? It's a genie that we're releasing. We want to capture the genie. Let's capture the oxygen. And so what we're going to do is the same experiment over, only we're going to capture it with just some basic dish soap. We want the dish soap to imprison our oxygen, and when we do that, we get a pretty interesting effect, and I think the folks at home are going to enjoy it. By the way, this is one of the most classic tabletop science experiments that you could do. So you look up online and find like the world record height or size elephant toothpaste experiment. And I think you'll enjoy these videos.
And speaking of that, so we're using 35% hydrogen peroxide. This stuff you need to buy at a chemical store, wear all the protective equipment. But there is kid-friendly stuff using yeast and 3% hydrogen peroxide. So basically stuff you can find on your house, do it with your parents, and you can see a very similar reaction, but it's not gonna be as big as that. All right, so we have 2 cups of water here, and we're gonna mix the potassium iodide into this. It's crystallized, so that's why we want to dilute it in a little bit of water.
Yummy.
And now while Eddie's doing that, I'm gonna pour this hydrogen peroxide into these beakers. Eddie, is there anything new going on over at the Museum of Science and History recently?
So, we have Planetarium Night Live coming up on April 14th.
Ooh.
Where you can come in and we can talk about what it is that we human beings know about, in this particular case, the galaxies. And so we know so much about these storms of stars that are out there just spinning around in space. And when you bring it onto a 60-foot dome overhead and we're able to see how these things function, you're mesmerized by just the immensity of our universe. And so that's what I do every day, talking about space and science with folks inside of the planetarium.
And that's just all going back to science and STEM, right?
Yes.
Very, very exciting. Absolutely love this. All right, so you mentioned that something about the soap, and it's got to kind of grab the catalyst. So we want to put soap in here, right?
So we want to add our soap into the water right here.
You said it's the prison, so it captures it, so when the foam kind of gets produced, it produces the foam, right?
Yeah, this oxygen, once we get that hydrogen peroxide breaking down from our catalyst into water, H2O, and oxygen, O2, we're just gonna capture all that O2, and you'll see how that happens right here with trillions of little tiny prisons for all of the oxygen that we're about to produce.
All right, you ready here, Eddie?
Yep, make sure to step back.
Sweet.
After we pour it in. 1, 2, 3. Wow.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
And there's that. That's the reaction. So,
You can see the steam too. It's an exothermic reaction. So the heat is exiting the reaction. You always talk about what the heat is doing. Because in science, in the universe, there's no such thing as cold. There's more or less amounts of heat, but you can see it's releasing all of this heat. As promised, we're just capturing molecular oxygen inside of just all of these little prison cells. Thank you, soap.
showing us some science. Thank you very much, Eddie, for doing this.
You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah, if you want to find out more about this, if you want to find out how you can do this at home as well, check out firstcoastnews.com. We're going to have all the ingredients there for you. Yeah, a little fun science time here.
Brush an elephant's tooth.
Oh, yeah.